Here are today's headlines. Malacanang says suspected drug lords Peter Lim and company are not yet off the hook despite the dismissal of their charges. China calls on the international community to respect the Philippine sovereignty and its fight against terrorism and drugs. The NBI dismisses sabotage as the cause of decoupling of MRT's cars last year. And a giant carrot cake highlights the celebration of the vegetable bounty of Bugias town in Benguet. Good day, I'm William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. Malacanang says law enforcers are expected to exert all legal remedies to pin down and punish suspected drug lord Peter Lim and other drug personalities. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque stressed that the Office of the President will take an interested position on the case and will closely monitor how the police will act from that point. The government would not allow big fish like Lim, Espinosa, and company to be off the hook just yet. He also said that the palace informed the Department of Justice about its concern on the dismissal. Roque meanwhile denied that the DOJ was being soft on Lim since he was President Rodrigo Duterte's compadre. He said that there was no basis for the allegation and urged to wait for the DOJ to make its next move. Roque assured the public that if indeed conspirators helped dismiss the case, the president was bound to fire them. He also admitted that there were weaknesses in the current criminal justice system, particularly on how prosecutors do not assist the police in building up cases. The dismissal of the drug charges against suspected drug personalities Kerwin Espinosa, Peter Lim, Peter Ko, and their cohorts are expected to be reviewed by the Department of Justice. Secretary Vitaliano Aguirre refused to comment on the dismissal of the charges filed by the PNP. He said that under the procedures, his office has no hand or say in the resolution of the case. Aguirre also stressed that Peter Lim and his co-accused are not yet cleared of criminal liabilities. All concerned parties must, however, ensure that efforts in the war against illegal drugs must be concerted and thorough. He also reiterates that the government will continue with its campaign to stop the proliferation of illegal drugs. The dismissal of the charges against drug personalities Kerwin Espinosa, Peter Lim, and Peter Ko, and several others are unacceptable to the Philippine National Police. PNP spokesman Chief Superintendent John Bulalakaw says the development is a temporary setback in prosecuting the drug personalities. The PNP has already filed a motion for reconsideration before the DOJ, even as the dismissal of the case is not yet final. State prosecutors dismissed the case against Espinosa, Lim, and Ko due to lack of evidence and credible witnesses. The Duterte administration hailed reports of the economy posting an all-time record high in foreign direct investment net inflows. A report cited by presidential spokesperson Harry Roque said net FDI inflows grew 21.4% to over $10 billion in 2017. The amount is over the $8 billion target of the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. The foreign investments in manufacturing, real estate, wholesale, information, communication, arts, entertainment, and recreation mostly come from Singapore, Japan, Netherlands, the US, and Hong Kong. The BSP said investors continue to view the country as a favorable investment destination on the back of the country's sound macroeconomic fundamentals and growth prospects. The CIDG in Central Visayas will continue to monitor Cebuano businessman Peter Lim despite the dismissal of the drug trafficking case against him and several others. CIDG 7 Chief Superintendent Royina Garma said they would not stop their monitoring and investigation of Lim despite the turn of events. Garma agrees with the reminder that any agency should refrain from filing cases based solely on the uncorroborated testimony of a witness. She said, It could be that the case did not prosper because some of the witnesses were too afraid to corroborate the testimony of lone witness Marcelo Adorco. The slow action or cooperation of other agencies also contributes to the delay in the filing of cases. Garma, however, said the DOJ should have given weight to Kerwin Espinosa's testimony, identifying Lim as one of his suppliers of shabu. Meanwhile, Police Regional Office 7 Director Robert Quenery said they would continue their investigation against Lim and look for more witnesses and evidence for the possible refiling of the said case. Still to come, China calls on the international community to respect the Philippine sovereignty in its fight against terrorism and drugs. The Department of Finance hails the easing of the bank secrecy law as part of the next package of the train law. These and more when the PNA Newsroom continues.
Today is a historic day for all of the broadcasters and for all of the Filipinos who watch television kasi dito po sa Davao City ay inilunsad po ang EWS or Emergency Warning Broadcasting System. Now, ang technology po na ito ay ang magwa-warn sa bawat manonood ng television ng PTV kung meron pong emergency.
There will be a faster transfer of information that will guide both the city government and our communities so that we can better prepare and protect both people, properties from disasters before they occur.
The need for this is urgent, imperative, and necessary. Our country is located along the Pacific Ring of Fire, with the tectonic movements crawling through fault lines throughout cities, towns, and islands. Our eastern seaboard faces the typhoon and storm surge highway. Active volcanoes have intermittent eruptions. Heavy rainfall cause floods and landslides, even in forested areas, and earthquakes, still scientifically unpredictable, cause heavy damage and deaths. The Emergency Warning Broadcast System can mitigate the consequences of these natural occurrences and help in reducing risks, panic, and disorder. We intend to make this integral to every locality.
The Presidential Communications Operations Office.
China came to the defense of the Philippines as it asked the international community to respect the country's sovereignty. China's Foreign Ministry spokesperson Lu Kang urged the United Nations to scrutinize the country's fight against terrorism and illegal drugs objectively. The statement came as UN Human Rights Chief Zeid Ra'ad Al Hussein suggested that Duterte needs to undergo a psychiatric evaluation. Hussein reacted to President Duterte's criticism of human rights defenders and the inclusion of UN Special Rapporteur Victoria Tauli Corpus, who is suspected of having links to the Communist Party of the Philippines in a terrorist list. Lu also lauded President Duterte's positive efforts to combat drug-related crimes and terrorism, develop the national economy, and improve people's livelihood. Since the turnaround of Chinese-Philippine relations in 2016 following tensions over disputed islands in the West Philippine Sea, Beijing has shown support for the administration's programs. The Commission on Elections, or COMELEC, will continue to prepare for the May 14 Barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan elections despite moves by the House of Representatives for another postponement. COMELEC spokesperson James Jimenez on Tuesday reiterated that a law must be passed for the May polls to be moved again. At the same time, he said he is convinced that the May polls would push through because aside from the imminent recess of Congress, various senators and even President Duterte is in favor of holding the elections as scheduled. Meanwhile, the COMELEC Employees Union expressed concern over the series of election postponements since 2016. The group said the frequent postponement of barangay elections may lead to a failure in the democratic process. They noted that if the elections are postponed again, government resources are being wasted as well as the efforts of poll body workers. The Department of Finance welcomes an incoming package of the train law that will relax the implementation on the bank secrecy law. The plan is to ease the country's bank secrecy law under the proposed package. 1B of the train will allow courts to order the opening of bank accounts of anyone and not just public officials. The Philippines is among the few countries in the world that has a bank secrecy law and prohibits bank personnel from disclosing any information about an account holder unless required by a court or the depositor has issued a waiver. Aside from relaxation of the bank secrecy law, Package 1B also proposes for the automatic exchange of information and granting of tax amnesty. The measure is seen to generate around 40 billion pesos worth of revenues this year alone. Finance Secretary Carlos Dominguez III said the relaxed rule will cover everybody who is under suspicion for money laundering or tax evasion. Governor Jose Alvarez expressed embarrassment and concern over the recent rape complaints of two Slovakian nationals against a boatman in El Nido, Palawan. A 26-year-old Slovakian filed an alleged rape complaint, while a 28-year-old complained of attempted rape. The suspected rapist was identified as 30-year-old boatman Romulo Arnosa. According to a police spot report, the alleged rape and rape attempt happened on the beach of Cadlao last March 7. A meeting with the tourist towns in the province will be scheduled to discuss measures to avoid rape incidents from happening. A drug suspect was killed in a firefight with law enforcers in Barangay Pansol, Laguna. Calamba City Police Chief Superintendent Reynaldo Maclang identified the fatality as Chris Pantaleon alias Ompong. Pantaleon, who is listed in the Drug Information Watch, was killed in a buy-bust operation by the Calamba Drug Enforcement Team and PDEA. Pantaleon's companion, Harrison San Valentin Luna, was wounded and later arrested at the Calamba Medical Center while seeking treatment. Also wounded during the encounter was PO1 Randolph Hizon, who was shot by the suspects. Police recovered a firearm, 2 heat-sealed plastic sachets containing suspected shabu and peso bills. Pantaleon's body was processed for autopsy, while the recovered pieces of evidence were submitted to the PNP Regional Crime Lab in Camp Vicente Lim here for examination. Up next, the NBI dismisses sabotage as the cause of the decoupling of the MRT's cars last year. A giant carrot cake highlights the celebration of the vegetable bounty of Bugyas Town in Benguet. These and more when the PNA Newsroom returns. The National Bureau of Investigation ruled out sabotage as the cause of the decoupling of the MRT-3 in November last year. Justice Secretary Vitaliano Aguirre said that the mishap was purely accidental and that it was not caused by sabotage. The Justice Department earlier ordered the NBI to conduct a probe on the incident following a request from the DOTR, which hinted the possibility of sabotage after its initial investigation revealed that the black box of the decoupled MRT coach was missing. The decoupling incident happened on November 16, 2017, forcing passengers to get out and walk along the tracks near the Buendia MRT station. MRT-3 technicians who checked the detached coaches have already ruled out any electrical or mechanical problem. Chief Technician Ruel Jose indicated that it is impossible for the coupler to separate without human intervention. Technicians have also discovered that the MESMA card, which functions like a black box, was also missing. A consumer group asked the Supreme Court to nullify the order to stop the suspension of 4 commissioners of the Energy Regulatory Commission, or ERC. The Alianza para sa Bagong Pilipinas Incorporated said the appellate court committed grave abuse of discretion due to lack of excess of jurisdiction. ABPI asked the High Court to prevent the CA from implementing its resolution pending final resolution of the petition. It argued that the Ombudsman's decision in imposing the penalty is immediately executory pending appeal. The Court of Appeals issued a 60-day injunction against the 1-year suspension of Commissioners Alfredo Non, Gloria Victoria Yap Taruk, Josefina Patricia Asirit, and Jeronimo Santa Ana. The Ombudsman suspended them after they were found guilty of conduct prejudicial to the best interest of the service, aggravated by simple misconduct and simple neglect of duty. The commissioners had favored power utilities like Meralco by exempting them from bidding for their power supply agreements. About 1,600 townsfolk in Bugyas, Benguet shared a giant carrot cake as part of the celebration of the town's second Albubo and Vegetable Festival. The Albubo is a tradition where the people voluntarily aid one another in any endeavor. 4 bake shops in the town collaborated in baking 108 pans of carrot cake, which were pieced together to create the 5-meter by 9-meter rectangular cake with an orange carrot tuber on the top of it. Mayor Ruben Tindaan explained that the giant carrot cake represents the production of majority of Cordillera's highland vegetables in the town. Bugyas is the leading producer of highland vegetables such as cabbage, potatoes, Chinese pechay, and carrots. The event was attended by thousands of residents who all flocked to the Benguet State University to see the giant carrot cake. Aside from the giant carrot cake, the event also showcased cultural shows and performances, games, and rituals. Viking priest Father Amado Picardal calls on the public to support his campaign for peace as he rides his bike around the country. Here is our report.
Viking priest Father Amado Picardal has launched his Bike for Life and Peace campaign from Manila to Mindanao starting Wednesday. The 64-year-old priest will be riding his bike from north to south of the country with a distance of 1,500 kilometers for 15 days. Picardal will also say a mass in a church where he will be staying and preach about the message of life and peace. He calls an end to extrajudicial killings and focus on healing, and to resume the peace talks and end martial law in Mindanao. Picardal, who began his biking mission in 2008, is from Iligan City, is the executive director of the CBCP Episcopal Committee on Basic Ecclesial Community. At that time, the Catholic priest urged the public to be wary of the effects of climate change that caused damage to the country as demonstrated by typhoons Sendong, Pablo, Yolanda, and Ruby. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Pamela Marie Zeminiano.
Let's now check out the weather forecast for Metro Manila and the rest of the country.
Cadet J. Warden Balilea Ontoria, a registered nurse and son of a farmer in Iloilo, is the Philippine Military Academy's valedictorian and will lead 282 members of the Alabtala class of 2018. Ontoria will be receiving 11 awards, including the Presidential Sabre, Chief of Staff Sabre, Philippine Navy Sabre, Academic Group Award, Australian Defense Performance Award, and Spanish Armed Forces Award. 143 from the Alabtala class will be joining the Philippine Army, 71 will join the Philippine Air Force, and 68 will be joining the Philippine Navy.
Here's another look at today's headlines. Malacanang says suspected drug lords Peter Lim and company are not yet off the hook despite the dismissal of their charges. China calls on the international community to respect the Philippine sovereignty and its fight against terrorism and drugs. The NBI dismisses sabotage as the cause of the decoupling of the MRT's cars last year. And a giant carrot cake highlights the celebration of the vegetable bounty of Bugyas Town in Benguet. Thank you for watching another edition of the PNA Newsroom. To check out these and other stories, visit the PNA website or follow the Philippine News Agency on Facebook and Twitter. For more stories about the government and how it serves the Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. And it's midweek already, but remember, if it's not happening, it's because you're not doing it right. So make life happen. And that's your daily dose of the hottest news and the latest information that you need to know from the PNA Newsroom. I'm William Theo. Good day.